Welcome to News 9 Mediaverse and you're watching On Point. Today, I will take you through 9 On Points because On Point is about 9 big stories of the day. But right now, the first and the most important On Point is how Supreme Court of India pulled up SBI. That's the first On Point. Supreme Court dismissed SBI plea seeking extension to June 30th to furnish details of the electoral bond. SC ordered the SBI to furnish the SBI the information by the business hours of March 12th and also directed the ECI to publish data provided by the SBI on its website by 5 p.m. on March 15th. So this is the first debate. This is the first debate. A big embarrassment. A big embarrassment for the State Bank of India. SBI had been asking more time, that they need more work to be done. Detail, maintenance and connection of who gave to whom, which is primarily the donor, the money and the party. But then, court also has a mind of its own. The real issue was that the court felt that these are the issues it had not asked for. It actually asked for a different sort of a detail. So SC dismissed the petition or the plea or the request of the State Bank of India and asked them to furnish out the detail. Let's listen in to the court.
File an affidavit of its chairman and managing director upon compliance with the directions which have been issued above. Stop. While we are not inclined to exercise the contempt jurisdiction at this stage, bearing in mind the application which was submitted for extension of time, we place SBI on notice that this court may be inclined to proceed against it for willful disobedience of the judgment if SBI does not comply with the directions of this court as set out in its judgment dated 15 February 2024 by the timelines indicated in this order. Full stop. The miscellaneous application for extension of time shall accordingly stand dismissed. Contempt petitions shall stand disposed of at this stage in the above terms.
My problem is this, my lord. With respect, in fact, just responding to what my lord has said, I have full details of who purchased the bond, but that's put in one silo of information. I have full details of where the money came from, which is in a second silo, and I have a complete detail of which political party tendered how many bonds and who has been paid how much. That's an easy ask. That can be given straight away. The problem is, Manoj, I have to now put the name of the purchaser, which is in the first sealed packet, and these are all physically kept. They were not put into the banking system. And each form will have to be taken out, the name checked, that name now correlated to the payment detail, and the payment detail correlated to the bond, and finally that's where the bond number gets generated, and then we can connect as to which political party who has given that money.
Now, that's not been asked, Mr. Thadwe.
But Manoj, I have to
give direction to correlate it with the purchaser and the political party.
Manoj, para 76 does suggest that. Would your lordship just see it for a moment? If you
don't go by what is suggested. Whatever you wanted to speak, just spoken in black and white.
The Supreme Court's order was very categorical. The State Bank was unfortunately obfuscating because the data is available at the click of a button. So under those circumstances, that application was misconceived in the first place, and the Supreme Court has rightly dismissed it. Now we hope that that data is provided expeditiously and the Election Commission uploads it on its website.
Though I'm joined by Mohammad Amin, former Joint Director, Chief of Protocol, Election Commission of India, Dr. Rajiv Nanda, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India. With me in the studio, my input editor Brijesh Pandey and legal editor Ashok Bagaria. I'll straight away go to Brijesh. Set the debate. Karthikeya, I think it's a major embarrassment for the government, because the way the court went after this arguments which is put forth by this SBI council, they clearly ripped it apart. They went on to ask question about what led to this, them to assume rather than go what was written in the affidavit which has been presented before them. They also went on to say that please tell us what exactly the SBI has done in the last 26 days. They also said that KYC of every donation, every financial act has been done separately, and it is the SBI, it is on the part of the SBI that they thought they went that far. The court did not had asked that. The court had only asked for two things: to provide the name of the people who have bought the brand, and people who are the recipient of it. So that clearly said that, and also the fact that they were seeking time till 30th of June, but now they'll have to submit it by tomorrow, which is 12th of March, and Election Commission of India has to publish it by 15th of March. Ashok, what was the difficulty? I mean, to say, can you cut the clutter for the viewer?
Yeah, so I'll tell you the problem that the SBI went to the Supreme Court seeking extension of time till 30th of June was that they said that, look, we basically have information with respect to who have purchased the bond, or for how much denomination, and who has redeemed the bond. But they say that this information, these three pieces of information, are kept in two different silos. One, the name of the purchaser of the bond and the denomination in which the bond was purchased is held in physical format, whereas the redemptions are held by us in electronic format, digital format. So to correlate both these set of informations is not an easy task, and there are almost more than 22,000 entries that we'll have to collate. So they said that, look, this is the problem we have, and we should need that time, and we want an extension till 30th June. So this was the crux of the argument of the SBI, that look, we want to do this, and this is the reason why we want to seek more time. But at the same time, the Supreme Court did not buy this argument and said, okay, forget it. You seek extension of time, you say that you need time to collate information. Tell us in the last 26 days, what have you done? How much work have you done? 10,000 entries have been matched, 5,000 entries have been matched. Please tell us.
Okay.
This actually caught the SBI on the wrong foot.
So basically you are saying that the court actually asked them to sort of work they did. Mr. Amin, your opening comments on the verdict, the direction given by the Supreme Court of India?
We can welcome the verdict from the Supreme Court of India. Actually, long awaited, so many times the Election Commission has submitted to the Law Ministry for the reforms of the Election Commission, and that's why you can see this government has tried to do in a black and white, but what happened, they have put the clause that this will not come into RTI Act. So that's why this is the wrong side. So that's why the CGI has asked about the information given to the public. So this is a very good decision from the Supreme Court of India, and Election Commission also very comfortable to see these things in black and white, and what party is given and who has given. Otherwise, earlier they have the black money, and it was a very big problem for the Election Commission at the time of the election. How to catch this and how to declare? Nobody wants to declare it. So this is the declaration, but this is the wrong side is one, that they have not given the information to the public or RTI yet. This is the problem that side. I'm agreeing on that.
Coming back to you, Ashok, there are two things here. One, compliance, and the second, the difficulties. But there's third aspect also. The people who had given the money in faith that their names will never come out. How does one look at it legally? Because it's like one of those schemes that the government, even during when Chidambaram was the finance minister, that you can recirculate the black money. You give this much, we'll take the tax, it's one time. Yeah. And suppose after 15 years the government says, we'll do doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani, and we'll expose everyone who circulated the black money. How does law look at it?
Well, very interesting question, Karthikeya. Firstly, you have to understand one thing, that when this electoral bond scheme was brought in by the government of India, it was brought in with twin set of objectives. Number one, to eliminate the flow of black money into the funding of political parties or to the whole electoral process. The second was that they held out a promise of confidentiality, secrecy for the people who were purchasing these electoral bonds so that they are not unduly victimized by other political parties who do not get that money. Now, in 2024, almost 5 years later, the Supreme Court rules on the legality and constitutionality of this scheme and says that this scheme per se is unconstitutional and violates the rights of citizens to know or have information about political funding of parties, political parties, of electoral funding. So on this basic principle, they said, okay, this is out. Now, the court is saying, give out the information. Here, what you are saying is correct. That does it not impact my right to privacy? Because at one point in time, the government of India...
Right to
But
privacy.
isn't it, I'd like to interject for a second, like don't you think that there is also a bifurcation date here where the government is, the apex court is saying that the day the government decided to state, the day from that date before, they will not reveal the name of the donors, but after that, the name of the donors will
I
be
think I'm
revealed.
also joined by Dr. Rajiv Nanda. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we were having a discussion on the right to privacy because, I asked this, what happens to those who in good faith, felt that the money, the scheme could be provided for, and now their names are being exposed because there's an ethical implication. But your opening comments on the observation made by the court, sir, today.
See, opening comments on the observations made by the court are that it's a very good decision in favor of the general citizen, ordinary citizen of India, because you have to weigh between the two rights, rights of an individual and rights of the country's citizens in general as such. So the rights of the citizens have weighed more, whether it is invasion in the right of privacy of these people who bought these bonds is now, though even if it is invaded, becomes immaterial now. Because the purpose of this scheme has been held to be, the scheme per se has been held to be bad. So now whatever has been done under the scheme, good, bad or ugly, will have to be brought on record. The good thing which has come today is that the niyat of SBI, the intention of SBI has been caught on wrong foot. They were trying to mislead the court, if I may say so, that by saying we can't compile this kind of information in such a short time. I think today or tomorrow or day after the election, the notification is going to come. We are living in the world of digital world. How it is difficult, whether it is 1 lakh entry or 5,000 entry or 2,000 entry, it is just a matter of flick of few buttons here and there, and the entire result is there. It's entire. Don't we count the ballot papers, the e-ballot papers? Lakhs of papers are just counted in one day at the most. It is the same thing. My remarks here are that this is a very good decision today. This has really caught the SBI and in turn the Ministry of Finance and in turn the ruling party of the day, that they have no good intentions to give information, because the shak ki sui kehte hain na, the needle of suspicion is going towards them that they are the recipients of this illegal money.
But there are other two dimensions of it. What will SBI do? And then I'm going to also talk to Brajesh about the fact that, it's a political question, Tomorrow this data is going to come out, and today the sleuths of announcement were made by the government of India, We were all anticipating what's going to happen tomorrow, but something happened today. The Divyas happened today, and then the CA notification happened today. But, well, these are the political times, so the stories will be political in nature. It's time for a short break. I'll be back. There are more reactions on this, so stay tuned.
Start with the end in mind. You need to know where you want to reach. Every morning that we wake up, we are exercising our choice. The destiny is decided. The results are known that I'm going to win. Life of a goalkeeper is something which has always intrigued me.
When you come into a stadium, this is the highest level of pressure.
When I set out to do something, I decide in my mind that failure is not an option.
What you feel very strongly about, those are the stories to tell.
I have a mind which is absolutely restless.
Mind and body are entangled sensations.
That brings me back to golf. It's an amazing game.
This is not a perfect game. You only learn from them.
If you have a formula to a success, then you can replicate it.
I feel this is my first step. I'm starting now.
The winner is first born in the mind. I think, therefore I am. We are all about our mind.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
You know, before I get into the show, you know, I have to say that, you know, when Oliver Kahn was here, you know, he really had a tough time because, you know, he landed in this city when it was foggiest and dirtiest to its best. So Mr. Kahn, after the interview, really had a tough time, you know. He straight away, you know, he finished the interview and went back and, you know, he took a flight, you know. So sometimes, you know, people who come from different climatic zones, landing in Delhi February becomes a torture. So let me come back to the point. And the point is, what will happen tomorrow? Ashok, what do you expect the SBI to do? Are there some surprises in for us?
No way.
No way?
No way. Because the Supreme Court has made its mind absolutely clear today when they said...
So am I going to know the name of the donor, the money given and the party which got it?
See, you will definitely get to know the name of the donor, the quantum of electoral bonds they purchased. You will definitely know which political party redeemed how much of the bond. But you might possibly not know which donor gave which political party what donation. That possibly is a micro picture, but you will definitely get to know a big picture that this is the quantum of money which the corporates have given to political parties for electoral funding, and out of the total corpus of the corporate money which went into electoral funding, what share went to which political party.
But it will be open for intelligent guesses because, you know, BJP has received the substantial chunk of money. So you'll get to know who has bought how much electoral bond. So you'll also get to know proportionately, not 100% accurate, but say with a margin of 20% plus minus, you'll get to know which party has gotten it.
So Mr. Nanda, basically it's like this. The micro picture will not be available, but a big picture will be available. We'll know how much bonds have been purchased and which party has got money from these bonds. But that a bond and a donor in the party, those micro detailing will not be available. Am I correct?
Yes. But then that is all right till the time you get the information as to who is the owner and who is the recipient of that money. It's all right whether you get to know the quantum, because everybody now knows what is the quantum, which is the political party. It's anybody's guess. Which political party is getting the substantial? You also know. I also know.
This is the pure play, Mr. Nanda, this is a pure play political, story. Everyone wants to know. You know, if you talk to people outside in a morning walk, the first thing they say, "Itna paisa gaya, kisko gaya, kisne diya hoga." That's the morning conversation. I mean to say, day before yesterday, people were talking about today. We'll come to know about it. But the fact of the matter is, people will come to know about it on
15th,
Tuesday.
I guess.
On Tuesday
15th.
or maybe Wednesday or Thursday, but this week people will definitely come to know about it. And I think it's about transparency. It's also about the fact that how big corporates can influence Indian political system. Before we go any further, let me play out 3 political bites on this and some other.
किन किन कंपनीज ने इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड बनवाए, कितने के बनवाए, इसकी लिस्ट दो. किस किस पार्टी को कहां कहां से इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड मिले, कौन कौन से इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड मिले, इसकी लिस्ट दो. मगर इसके अंदर सिर्फ समस्या ये है कि किस कंपनी का इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड किस पार्टी को मिला, ये इंफॉर्मेशन एसबीआई नहीं दे रहा है. इससे कई बातें साफ होती हैं. पहली बात, इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड सिर्फ इसलिए बनाए गए ताकि बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां, कॉरपोरेट हाउस, बड़ी बड़ी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज को पैसा दे सके और लोगों को ना पता चल सके, जो कि गैर कानूनी था, गैर संवैधानिक था, कोर्ट ने कह दिया. एक शंका और अब देश के मन में है कि शायद ऐसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ने बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियों से चंदा लिया है जिन पॉलिटिकल पार्टियों की सरकारों ने केंद्र में और राज्य में उन कंपनियों और कॉरपोरेट घरानों को फायदा पहुंचाया है। इसीलिए एसबीआई इस इंफॉर्मेशन को देने में घबरा रहा है।
This is very good that the Supreme Court has, we welcome the fact the Supreme Court has dismissed the plea of the SBI. And this is in the interest of transparency of political funding in the country and particularly electoral funding. And these details the SBI has been directed by the court to be passed on to the Election Commission by tomorrow. And in turn, the Election Commission has been directed to put it on its website for public knowledge and display by 5 p.m. on by March 15. This, I think, will go a long way in ensuring transparency.
देश की जनता को इस बात की खुशी है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के माध्यम से कम वो सूची आ जाएगी, जिस सूची में ये पता लग जाएगा कि इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स किन्होंने दिए हैं। अब सवाल ये है कि वो सार्वजनिक होगा कि नहीं होगा, हम और आप जान पाएंगे कि नहीं जान पाएंगे। बीजेपी तो जानती है कि उसे कहाँ से चंदा मिला है, या हमें चंदा मिला हुआ तो हमें तो पता है कि कहाँ से चंदा मिला है। ये जनता जान पाएगी कि नहीं जान पाएगी, ये सबसे बड़ा सवाल है। इसलिए हमें उम्मीद है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के माध्यम से या जो साथी इस बात को चाहते हैं कि जनता जाने, तो मुझे उम्मीद है कि देश की जनता जानेगी कि इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स बीजेपी पे जो आए हैं या अन्य दलों पे जो आए हैं वो किन किन के माध्यम से पहुंचाए।
I think the elephant in the room is black money, and it is for the to address the issue of black money in politics that these reforms were introduced. But somehow the reforms to treat black money, make it mainstream, became an issue of opaqueness and transparency. So Ashok, the basic question or the issue of electoral bond, which stemmed from the fact that people wanted to weed away unaccounted money from election, remains there. The elephant in the room remains there. What happens to that?
Well, yes, after the Supreme Court of India struck down this whole electoral bond scheme, we are actually back to the suitcase Raj, where political parties used to get funds from corporates in cash and they used to be carried in suitcases. So we are back to the 2017 era. That's how the political funding of electoral politics in our country happened. Now there's another important thing that you have to keep in mind. You rightly pointed out that the whole idea of the government of India was to eliminate the flow of black money into the electoral process. But why? You have to keep in mind that the Supreme Court said that did the government of India actually look at any alternative method to weed out black money? Or was there any alternative approach that they had thought about?
By masking the identity of the donor, it was another way of looking at the black money. You may be curbing the black money, but the identity of the owner became the black, which gave rise to another thing, that whether the government is willing to receive the suitcase full of notes, or whether the government is willing to go for the quid pro quo, which was one of the key arguments put forward to strike down these electoral bond schemes. Like suppose if Brijesh Pandey does not, his company does not have a stature of more than 10 crores, but he's getting a contract of 100 crores by buying electoral bonds worth 50 crores. So the anonymity angle added to the entire charade of whether you are actually eliminating black money or you are giving another fillip to black money by making sure that the KYC is done. But the name of the person who is buying an electoral bond and giving to a particular party remains completely anonymous.
Mr. Nanda, do you agree?
Well, I don't think exactly what my friend is just saying. I have my doubts. It is not that much a gray area that SBI can withhold these kind of information. It is apprehension that there may be. And I think even if it is done, Supreme and some kind of IA is filed in Supreme Court by the petitioner, Supreme Court is going to further clarify it. But I have yet another hunch. I don't know how far that may be correct, but I have a hunch that government of the day, which is the substantial beneficiary of this scheme, is not going to take it sitting it down. They may come out with some ordinance. I have a hunch.
Okay, so basically you are saying that they might the government can come out with the ordinance. Do you think, Bridget, it's a possibility that they can come out with an ordinance in the last 1 minute?
There is always a possibility of that, because it is extremely embarrassing for the government that, that the entire electoral bond scheme is there.
But wouldn't it cast a sort of a dark light on the government that they're trying to hide something before the Lok Sabha election?
A political
it's a catch-22 situation.
a political party which is riding high on its popularity and also, riding high on the wave of Ram Temple
they
and
will
CAA,
have to bite the bullet.
You think that they won't be willing
they will have to bite the bullet.
They
will have to bite the bullet because I don't think the government has any option but to bite the bullet. Yes, ordinance is a possibility.
One last quick word.
30 seconds.
30 seconds is that, look, this electoral bond scheme, when it was in place, the donor knew who he was giving the money to. The political party knew where the money was coming from. The only person who didn't know where the money was going was the citizen of this country. Now, by this order, the Supreme Court has ensured that the citizen will know. The political party knew where the money was coming from. The donor knew where he was giving the money. So, in this game of donor and political party, the only person who was kept in the dark was the citizen of this country.
I think it's an enlightened judgment, but there's another issue to it. If political party, not the political parties, I would say, if the goalpost or the rules keep on changing in retrospect, then it creates an issue of trust, because there will be times when the government will take unique steps to ensure that there is some modicum of operation transparency in the system, or so that the issue of black money is resolved. Not this government, but even the previous government had those one-time schemes of, making your black money white. Amnesty. So one has to look into the larger ethical issues, because you have made a promise to them, Yes, the rights of citizens are important, but if you make a promise and go back to them, then what happens? So that was on point number 1. After the break, the on point number 2 will be about the Prime Minister Modi talking about Divyastra. PM Modi lost the first test flight of indigenous Agni 5 missile. PM congratulated DRDO for mission Divyastra. After the break.